Hi, this is Swapnil Bhartiya and we are here at VMware Explore, and today we have with us once again Renu Upadhyay, VP of Marketing of End User Computing at VMware. Renu, it's great to have you on the show.
Great to be here. Thank you for having me.
But the greatest thing is that we are here in person. We have been talking over remote interviews and call, but seeing everybody in person is a totally different experience. And today we are going to talk about workspace as well. So there is a lot of hybrid, right? I also operate in a hybrid mode, remote interviews and in-person interviews. You folks announced, Anywhere Workspace last year. First of all, just to give us a quick recap, what it is.
Sure, absolutely. So one of the big things is we see continued interest in maintaining flexibility for the workforce. And what that means is, when everyone shifted remote, things worked, businesses continued to stay productive. And now a lot of organizations are looking to bring employees back into the office. But generally the feeling is we want to continue to offer flexibility, so go more to a hybrid model. Now, with that hybrid model comes challenges. It's the same challenges that we as organizations face. Our IT organizations are facing across the world as well, whether it's talent retention, hiring the right, people, the right skills. And so Anywhere Workspace is really our answer to help IT be successful in delivering on the promise of a hybrid workforce and in enabling and empowering that workforce. And really anchored on our core solutions of Workspace ONE, which is our unified endpoint management platform, and Horizon, which is our virtual desktops and apps and DaaS solution. We have expanded that with digital employee experience because employees came right at the forefront, and we've discussed that before. It's very important to make sure they have the best experience, and then also adding security on top of that. So Anywhere Workspace is really how we refer to the set of these capabilities, really designed to help IT do more with less and the resources constraints they face.
Since we are here at the Explorer and this, so any announcements that you folks made in terms of workspace?
Yeah. So today we announced really in two key areas. As I talked about the challenges that we were hearing is from IT organizations, there's really two aspects of challenges. One is on the technology side, which is what are the right sets of technology capabilities we need to deliver, to help employees work from anywhere, but do so with a great experience and without compromising security. And how do we do that? By injecting more automation into the processes. So on the technology side, we were excited to announce innovations in furthering our automation. And we also announced our vision around how we see the simplification of managing these workspaces, because they're increasingly complex. And so we announced how our vision is around autonomous workspace, and what that means. How can workspaces be a lot more self-configuring, self-healing, and sort of self-managing, so that IT doesn't have to do a lot, right? As different environments change, when employees, devices, networks change. So we talked about that, and in the area of technology specifically that we announced, in the area of automation, we announced our intelligence-guided root cause analysis. Now, think about an employee working, yourself working from anywhere, me working from here. If something's not working in our experience, if you can't access an application or an application crashes, the cause can be anything. So helping IT really narrow that down, suggest remediation, and then help automate. So if that problem occurs again, you can remediate that in a proactive fashion. So we announced that. We also announced Freestyle Orchestrator extended to mobile devices. A lot of our customers use that on their desktops. And this is creating workflows anywhere from rolling out patches, patch management, all the way to onboarding devices. So we announced the extension of that to mobile. So this is in the area of automation. And then we also announced in the area of agility. So one of the technologies that saw tremendous interest, especially during the pandemic, is desktop as a service. So the ability to spin up a desktop to provide secure access to an employee's desktop, wherever they may be, on any device they may choose, saw tremendous growth in the market. And so we announced our next generation architecture for Horizon Cloud. And it's just got phenomenal response from our customers. The underpinning architecture has really can drive cost savings up to 70%. in how you utilize cloud resources, and also simplify management greatly. So as organizations look to scale up or down, as they look to go to multi-cloud, this architecture offers them the flexibility to be able to do that. So that's the two areas, automation and agility, ultimately to empower and enable the hybrid workforce without adding complexity to IT.
That's a lot of announcements
Yes.
made for a lot of things there. I want to talk about, you mentioned autonomous, and you also talked about making it simplified. You also talk about the IT side. You also talk about the user experience.
Yeah.
So let's talk about autonomous. What do you mean? How would you kind of define it?
I'll give a simple example that hopefully everyone can relate to. So when you think about, there's a little difference between automation and autonomous. So automation, in a very simple day-to-day sense, is think about it like cruise control for your car. So you set the speed and you go. Now, if another car cuts in front of you, the driver has to take control, the driver may change lanes. So there's a lot of, the driver is active, right? And it's the same in the IT world. So in the IT world, if an application crashes, you can open a help desk ticket, you can automate that. But the IT service desk, they still all have to get involved to solve, to find out what's the root cause, what's the issue, how do I prevent it from happening again. Now let's think about what our vision is for autonomous, right? Think about it like a self-driving car. So now, of course, self-driving car is getting to be mainstream. I mean, there's a lot of things that are still being worked out. But if you think about a self-driving car, you decide, you put in the destination, and the car knows when it can change lanes. If there's another car that comes in the front, it slows down. So it is aware of all the variables that are part of its environment, and it knows the desired state is to get to a destination, so it modulates and gets there. So that's how we think about an autonomous workspace. So you set the desired state. What should your workspace look like? And that's self-configuring. So if I can just say, not just when an app crashes, I know the reason why it crashes. How can I take data sciences and can I have a predictive model to say, oh, I am seeing these conditions take place and I can predict that something may go wrong, and proactively maybe I push an update to the application, to the employee. So again, you want to solve the problem before it occurs. And so can you use data sciences to do that? So again, the three things we talk about are self-configuring, self-healing, and then self-securing. So, self-configuring is this desired state, how do I adjust? Self-healing is an app crashes, like I gave that example. And then self-securing is, we're here at the event, man-in-the-middle attack, anything could happen in the network, all of that. How do I bring it back from a security perspective, but minimally invasive to the employee experience? So it could be maybe I don't get access to the application, or I'm asked to get on the VPN. So how do I bring the employee in without disrupting their experience? So that's really our vision around the autonomous workspace.
As you were talking earlier, that the world is changing, COVID is going away. Companies want workforce to come back. Workforce doesn't want to come back, so there is a lot of struggle happening there. But the more we make it easier for companies to support remote work, the more comfortable they'll feel. There are some use cases where they do want employees, but can you also talk about how does it help employers or customers to be able to support hybrid work more efficiently, so they can enable their employees to work remotely?
So I think the work remotely, because of the early days of the pandemic, happened because there was no choice, right? And the technology, so a lot of companies invested in collaboration tools. They had to dial down their security policies, because if I didn't give access to certain applications, or you could only use your desktop in the office, not many employees had laptops and that they could take back home. So, and then if you recall, we had the supply chain issues. So not only could you didn't have a laptop, and if I was a new employee, I really didn't get a device. So my time to productivity was pretty bad. So what IT organizations started doing is they embracing BYOD. So all the things they said no to earlier, like you have to work in the office. Well, now you can work from home. And anyway, you have to only use a corporate-owned device. Well, now use your own device because I don't have a corporate device or it's not getting shipped for another, say, few weeks. Or I'm only going to stay on premises to, I have to move to cloud, and we talked about Cloud Smart earlier today as well. So all these things happened in the early days. So now where IT is going, they're saying, well, this is a phenomenon that's here to stay. So how do I stabilize my environment? How do I make sure I can give flexibility wherever the employee may work? And at the same time, they're monitoring what are the requirements of employees, because now employees have come to expect a certain quality of service, certain expectation. I mean, the help desk, right? They're not walking to their IT anymore. They don't want to call in. They don't want to open trouble tickets. So they're learning to be more self-sufficient and self-service oriented if they have issues. So, which means the technology has to be easy so they can troubleshoot it themselves and not rely on IT. So we saw all of these changes. But the conversation, what I'm hearing now is, yes, we want to bring employees back. We still want to give flexibility. And how can my technology work seamlessly wherever the employee chooses to be? So it's no longer 100% remote, though there are those who saw the benefit. Like we were talking to some financial institutions and they talked about virtual tellers, or there is a lot of innovation where they want to keep things remote. Contact centers, right? Contact center agents. But there are equally a lot of organizations that are missing the personal human interaction and the creativity that comes through those, and building a culture and an attachment to the organization. So they're saying, how do I motivate my employees to come back? I still have to give a great technology experience, because if I'm coming into the office and I'm still just going to talk to my colleague on Zoom who's sitting, or what happens to a colleague who's remote and I'm in the office, do we have the right technology? So they're expanding the scenarios, and they want to make sure that irrespective of where the employee is, the experience is frictionless, the access to apps is easy, and then IT is secure, right? So that's sort of the next wave from all the conversations I've had here is, how do we get employees back? How do we motivate them? What's our role as a leader to do that? So it's been very interesting hearing all of that.
Right. When you're talking about during the peak of pandemic, it was mostly remote, and yes, you don't have devices, so our personal devices kind of became corporate devices, which is also a big challenge about security, because you don't want to do a lot of personal stuff through the corporate VPN. You are working on the healthcare or whatever it is, and also at the same time, you don't want to do any corporate work without VPN. Now when we are going back, and it's not like fully 100% either remote or fully in the office, it's becoming mixed hybrid also. Some days you can work, which has kind of totally different unique challenge as well, because once again we are juggling two balls. So what kind of challenges you see that companies are facing when they are moving from remote to hybrid environment, because now they have to kind of support two different kind of environments, right? The folks who are sitting in the office and the folks who are remote, but they come to the office once in a while.
Yeah. So they don't want to think about them as two different. They want to have the same experience across both. So it's really about, and what happens is when you're coming back, there's also other conversations that come in the picture, like, do I need to redesign my workspace? Am I going to still give offices to people who come once a week or twice a month? So that workspace design conversation, what happens to, from a security perspective, right? Physical security. And then once you're on the corporate network, and just to address a little bit what you talked about, I'm using my personal device. Another innovation that really got a lot of interest is app-based VPNs or cloud-based VPNs as well. So instead of everything you do on your laptop going through your physical hardware-based VPN, now there's cloud-based solutions for that as well. So I can even do VPN on a per app basis. So if I'm accessing my business performance metrics on Tableau, I go through VPN. But if I'm joining my Zoom call, I don't need to go through VPN. So there's a lot of those efficiencies that IT realized that, and we had some customers talk about that as well, that they were in the middle of that transformation. And that was great because they had so many cloud apps, they didn't need VPN, right? So So all of those innovations, but the idea is how do we keep things seamless? And that's why if they design with the employee experience in mind and say, wherever the employee may work, as long as I know what are the devices they're using, what applications they need access to, what's their persona. Our solutions also support frontline employees. They support knowledge workers, but it's the same experience no matter what for IT to manage, and it's the same experience for the employees as well, whether they change their devices as well. So consistency is what they're looking for, scalability is what they're looking for, flexibility if they want to go to the cloud or be on premises is what they're looking for. So those are the common themes that we hear. And many of them also are now starting to measure employee NPS scores. So IT is getting measured on how am I delivering the end user technology to my colleagues. So this is a new thing that is coming up where their employees are rating them on the tools. It's not like I gave you this laptop, deal with it, right? It's like I don't like it, or it took me 15 days to get access to an application I needed. They are rating me in IT and saying, I'm not happy with my experience. So lots of these changes are something, they're good, right? Because it raises the bar. So we have to make it easy for IT to deliver that to their employees.
Now, you also talk about, touch upon that. I also want to talk about the digital employee experience, So talk about that experience from your perspective, VMware's perspective, and how are you bringing that experience to the companies?
So we think about, digital employee experiences. One, you have to deliver the experience. Once you deliver the experience, and what that means is, what is the workspace that you're providing in your employees? Are you giving them the device? Are you giving them the access to the applications? Are you, so that sort of one is the delivery. Like, can they connect with IT? Are you able to notify your employees? The next is, once you deliver the experience, are you able to measure it? So what that means is, if your login time into your virtual desktop, or you are logging into an application and it crashes many times, or the battery health of your device. So I need to also be able to measure. And I'm not talking about measuring productivity. I'm not saying how many hours is Renu logged in, right? So is she working or not? There's a fine line. And we get asked that, are you measuring, because I don't want to share that. So we're not talking about that. We're talking about measuring the performance of your digital experience, right? Once you measure, then you want to analyze. So I talked earlier about being able to predict. So one of the big shifts we are seeing is, by the time someone opens a help desk ticket, you have to be really frustrated. Like, for you to pick up the call your IT, explain the problem, you have to really, be frustrated. So how can I remediate? Are there things I can do early on? This is the shift left we talk about from a help desk perspective as well. So can I shift left where I can predict and remediate before even the problem occurs? So the analysis helps there. And then finally remediate. So we think about digital employee experience in those 4 areas, because we deliver the experience through one catalog where you can access all of your applications, physical, virtual, SaaS, web-based, the same experience irrespective of the device. So we deliver the experience, we measure it. Our Workspace ONE intelligence solution helps with that. We analyze it because we have data across and we can correlate anomalies. And then we can suggest those remediations, which is why I'm so excited about that announcement we made around root cause analysis as well. So that's digital employee experience. Again, it's newer, but it's starting to get very top of mind. A lot of people now with roles called employee experience leaders, VP of employee experience, they sit in IT, they get measured on NPS. So it's becoming a lot more tangible and not just a nice to have. But if I don't deliver it, my employees will be disengaged, they will leave, retention becomes a challenge and so on.
Renu, thank you so much for taking time out today. And not only talk about this platform, but also touch some pain point that all of us are facing, because all of us, we are trying to figure out how to be more efficient, whether in office or remotely, and how to kind of build a new culture of hybrid workforce. So thanks for sharing those insights. Thanks for talking about the solution that you are bringing to the customers. And as usual, I would love to have you back on the show, maybe remotely.
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I love talking about this.